And also thank you to UCLG, Metropolis, and UN Habitat for this important thematic session on the cultural mobilization in COVID-19 pandemic. Marta, next slide. Okay, I represent Lalitpur Metropolitan City. This is the second largest city in the Kathmandu Valley. Kathmandu, the capital city of Nepal. And my city is a fine arts city. And due to the COVID-19, there are a lot of disturbances, a lot of problems on the ongoing cultural heritage, cultural activities, etc., etc. Just take an example. You on the picture you see it's a very important, very meaningful chariot festival, which has been continued since 1400 years uninterruptedly. But this time we have to stop it. But now the problem is the chariot construction is scheduled based on lunar calendar. So now the lunar calendar does not wait anybody else. Therefore, the construction of the chariot has been not started. So this is a very big setback to our culture, to our a sort of community-based ritual rites, traditions, and cultures. These are very much badly affected. And again, tomorrow is our day for Mother's Day. But now, since there is no mobility, because the country is under lockdown, therefore all the mothers are panicking, because their children, it is quite difficult for their children to visit them. So this is next problem. But in Nepal, in Lalitpur, we got every day almost traditionally, culturally festival day. So these are very much badly affected. Okay, next thing is my city is the old craft city. And we got a lot of artisans, and their products are very much important, and they get market in the world. But now, since the epidemic, their productions are not getting access to even to the local market. So it's impossible to get access over to the international market. And we see there is no light in the tunnel for next couple, say, I don't know, we don't know how long does the epidemic goes, but still the problem is the artisans don't get market for, I guess, for next 6 or 8 months. Therefore, economically, they are very much hampered. They are vulnerable to collapse in their business. So it's very important that we have to look after them. Next slide, Marta. Marta, next slide. Okay, now the behavioral change regarding the epidemic is quite obvious. So in this case, we have to change in the traditional cultural behavior. So revival with flexibility. So this is very required, because the traditional cultural behavior is very much badly affected by the pandemic. Therefore, we have to revive this with a lot of flexibility. And of course, the cultural and heritage as city products seeking economic alternatives. Now, of course, this year we were celebrating Visit Nepal year 2020, but the pandemic forced us to cancel the program. So the federal government has just canceled it. Therefore, now all the economy depends on the on the tourism industry, so to say. Therefore, we have to encourage the domestic tourism in order to sustain the tourism business marginally. And
last minute, dear Mayor.
Okay. So in that case, now adapting to the changes in communication, culture, and behavior, distance communication, not face to face, but screen to screen. Like for instance, now we are undertaking a Zoom meeting, which is quite good, and definitely we have to undertake some of those in other IT innovations like Skype, etc., etc. So now lessons we learn is now, of course, we have revival of well-established tradition, sanitation, and hygiene practice. For instance, before we go to our home, we take off our shoes, we wash our hands and feet. But now that thing has been again repeated. Okay, so in that case, we don't handshake, we don't hug, but then we used to say namaste. Next slide, Marta. Next slide, Marta. Last one. You got one more.
I'm sorry, I have a problem with the next slide. I cannot.
So in that case, we have a tradition of receiving people by doing like this, namaste. We don't shake hand, we don't hug. Therefore, this thing has now been revived. Okay, so in this case, whatever we were, our forefathers did, those things were again repeated these days, and it's mainly due to the pandemic. Okay, so in this case now, public places adopting hygiene and discipline as culture. In that case, of course, okay, this is the last slide. In that case, of course, people are using masks, and the sanitization is widely used, and the social distancing is very much maintained nicely. In the market, you will see a lot of people doing shopping on circle, maintaining social distances. And lastly, I also say namaste to all of you. Thank you.